Hello my loves, welcome back to Zeke's Lunchbox. Today we're going to do a video that we haven't done on this channel for quite some time. I have, I think, a playlist called Critiquing Your Art on this channel, and pretty much as soon as that video, the very first one of those videos started, I switched over my Patreon to be a service-based platform, so I give you guys a monthly art critique depending on which tier you have chosen, and every single month I've been posting a video on Patreon ever since, critiquing your art. I got permission from the submitter who submitted their artwork. I will have their socials for their art, so thank you very much if that was you. If it was, make sure you comment and then I can pin your comment as well so everyone can go follow you and follow your amazing work. I wanted to show you guys exactly what happens on the Patreon because I've done a really bad job of letting everybody know, and I put a lot of energy into giving the critiques, and I'm pretty passionate about helping you guys with improving your art. I feel like if everybody just made more time to create with their hands, we'd all be a little bit happier. That's what this video is about. It's not about tearing anybody down, it's really quite the opposite. It's about lifting everybody and seeing where you can improve your art. The very first critique is from the first submission that this artist has submitted. Submit. The first one is from January 2021, and then their last submission that I received from them, one moment, is from June. Just in that short amount of time, they have been submitting artworks pretty much monthly from January to June. I just want to really show you guys an example of not only is the Patreon service really helpful in actually really making people's artworks pop and like really get to that new level, but it really shows the importance of consistency, practice, and yeah, I hope that this video inspires you guys to pick up the paintbrush and keep on making. If you are interested in joining the Patreon, I will put a link down below. I've got 3 different tiers there. Bottom one is if you want to just watch all the videos that I've posted on Patreon, you get access to that. The middle tier is a written feedback that you get monthly, and then the top tier is a video feedback, so that's what the example you guys will be watching is. Let's pop in and see the art critique. Alright, so this is one of the new patrons. Thank you so much for submitting and joining the Patreon. I hope the service is useful to you and you get lots of good insight and maybe consider some things that you didn't really think of before. Okay, so with these critiques, I go through a list of elements that make up an artwork and kind of decipher whether or not things could be pushed or pulled a bit further. So first of all, incredible artwork. I absolutely love how much autonomy is in the women that you have drawn. They have so much strength and personality, and I love all the sharpness of it. I quite like the colors. I will come up to that in a second and chat further about the color issues that you may have had, but personally I really like them. I think they're really striking and strong. I can't wait to see more from you because this work's just really incredible, and yeah, congrats and well done. One of the things that you have mentioned that you wanted help with is how to create form by using many different colors while keeping color harmony, how to make an image look clean by using a lot of colors. You feel like your work's looking a bit muddy, how to blend an image in with its environment so that it looks like it's part of the environment. And I will go through that in just a moment. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about color. So here we have a sketchbook spread of 2 pages. Got one page with this red-headed woman coming out of the ocean. She's really sharp and clawing her way onto the land. There seems to be some kind of green beam behind her. Maybe that's possibly where she has just been brought into, and she's an alien who's been plopped onto this earth by the green beam. Really striking. And then we've got on the right side of the page, we have a blue piece with lots of strong swooshing movements into your painting strokes. A woman in profile with purple skin and yellow hair. She's sitting on what looks like to be a rock, and she's looking incredibly proud and strong. And I quite like this spread together. They work really cohesively and they reside in the same universe and they have the same mood. So well done. Really, really good. Okay, so color. You mentioned that you wanted to use more colors in your work, and you're also concerned about the muddiness. Now, you've mentioned in your email that this is also done with painted these with gouache and acrylic on black paper, and I think that is mostly the issue that you are having here. When you're doing these sort of heavily painted pieces, I would recommend just stepping away from a sketchbook, and I think you're strong enough to graduate over to a canvas. And instead of painting on white, because I know white can be really daunting and annoying and it's like you're starting from absolutely nothing, why not put a base layer of cold hues? You can start with a base layer of like a light pastel blue. That way you're not starting from scratch and you have something to build up on, so you're already starting with like a blue medium. Black is really harsh. It's like the opposite problem of starting with white. You're starting with lots of tones and you have to, you know, lighten your way up to the other side. I think personally, like with the style that you've got going on, I think it's really striking, and I think it could be a really cool technique to keep exploring that. However, because you did mention that you want your colors to be, you want to add more colors and you want your colors to be less muddy, I would consider just what I've mentioned prior. Just experiment with a bunch of different bases. Maybe do a similar style of painting on white, on a toned beige, on a blue, and then on black, and then you can assess and reflect on which one worked best, and then you can go in that route. Now, when it comes to working on your colors, let's go into tone and light, because I don't believe that the colors are an issue. I think you're just having issues with light and values. Because you are starting with black and you're starting with the harshest tone that you can possibly start with, I think that's what's really confusing and muddying the colors and the tones. There's lots of extreme contrast in your work. So if you're starting with something a little bit softer, then you can like really push down the darks and then really lighten the lights, or have everything be a lot more subdued. It really depends on what sort of art you would like to use and make. I think you've got a really good handle on the really light and really dark tones. I'd like in future to see you more concentrate on mid-tones instead. By going into black and white, you can see here exactly what I mean by you've got a good grasp of your lightest and your darkest tones, but the mid-tones almost need more review. That way you can, you know, blend your colors a little bit more seamlessly. I'm somebody who strongly believes that you can put as many colors into a piece as possible. You just have to make sure that the tones are correct and make sense for three-dimensional piece that you are trying to render. I have linked a couple of videos explaining this further. I just can't quite tackle that in this video. Shape composition and space. I think your shapes are really sharp, really strong. I don't have much more critique for you to improve on. I think I just want to see more. I want to see you explore even more bodies with these really sharp, strong features. I think it's really, really appealing, and I'd like to see more of that. I think that the page on the left has some good direction, so you've got a nice compositional direction right there. You mentioned environments, but I don't think that's your issue. So I just want you to keep it up. Flow and energy, doing really good with the flow and energy. I think the lovely bursts of direction and flow in this piece are doing well. Like I said with this piece, you've got some really nice flow there as well. I think you've got a really good natural handle on that, and I don't see much more you can improve. Just keep going and keep making. Bonus anatomy, again, not much that I can say here, so I'm just going to move on. Practice some actual figures with just a pencil and more realistic sketches. That way you know what to push and pull, and you have a bigger knowledge of portfolio to pull from, so you know how to caricaturize and push a body. And then lastly, the thing that you mentioned was you needed more help with blending your characters in with the environments, and I mentioned this in the email. I think all you really need to do is, if you're going to add in a light source, you have to make sure that it really interacts with your subject matter. So because there's a green haze here, it just needs to, you know, be very obvious that the green haze is touching the main character's face. If you want your characters to blend in more with the environments, you just have to make sure all of the lighting is the same across all those subject matters, and that they all kind of make sense in the directional lighting that you are giving the piece. All right, so we've done the January critique. Thank you guys for watching if you've come this far. We've got one more critique to go. So this one's from June. Quite a decent amount of time between the first and the second, and you'll see how much they've improved in their last feedback that they have submitted. So I hope that this inspires you to really create and stay consistent and keep practicing. All right, so this next submitter has been like the most consistent person to be submitting through this Patreon service. I think we just have one more person who's been equally as consistent, but you are up there. And I just want to really reiterate how important the consistency is, because this piece here completely proves that determination and consistency work wonders. I think you have improved so much from the very first piece that you have submitted. You always had a really distinctive hand style. It really just needed a bit of refining, you know? And I hope you're really, really proud of how much you've grown. It's honestly amazing and such a pleasure to witness your growth and how much you've changed in this time. I'm really seeing you get to this whole new level of art, and it's just so exciting to witness. So let's talk about this piece. So here we have a grandiose landscape. It looks like an evening or a cloudy day in Antarctica, with a massive monolithic iceberg in the middle. Now, I mentioned it in the email, but this piece just feels holy. There's no other way for me to describe it. It feels like in North Korea, they have a mountainside that they worship, and it's kind of enshrined in their religion, and that's kind of what this piece feels like. Like, humans are drawn to mountains and worship mountains for a reason. It feels holy, like a religious experience. I don't know how else to describe it. It's so grandiose and incredible. It really is such an accomplishment. Well done. Now, I can see that you have used all grays and all blues. So it looks like an aqua, a Payne's gray, an aquamarine. Really good balance of your light greeny blues to the more gray blues. So well done to you for that. I love painting with blues. I feel like blues, out of all the colors that we have, blues mesh together so well. So I would love to see more blue pieces out of you, because it's just sensational. It just feels so rich. Yeah, well done with the colors. I absolutely love the flecks of blue that you have in the sky, especially around the tip of the iceberg. Just looks so good. It's so beautiful. So yeah, with the colors, I don't have any tips except to just keep on going. Keep doing what you're doing with the colors here. I feel like colors, just keep doing this. Light and values. I feel like you've done a really good job with the halo around the tip of the iceberg. Fantastic. Even like the I forget what this technique is in photography, but you know, when the corners have some darkness to it, I think you've done a really good job blending into those corners there. So the light is really enhancing the composition here. So fantastic, really well done. I think you're really understanding tones now, so no need for me to tell you where to improve there. Just keep going. Now you've reached a difficult point where it's like you've reached a point where you are making really good work. You just have to keep on making it and just continue to be very consistent, which you've proven to be able to do. Okay, shape and composition. I love the central composition as well. I love the flow of the water cutting through in the horizontal, but then we also have all of these sharp points in the center, in sharp points of the iceberg. So well done to you for that. That's fantastic. I don't have any improvements for you here. I love how the clouds are really like radiating out of the top of the mountain. I feel like the bottom of the ocean is probably the weakest part in this composition. Maybe you didn't need as much of this texture around the bottom, but we'll get to that soon. The only improvement that I suggested was that I think that the piece could have been a thinner, longer piece. That could help to, I only say that because I want to see more of this scene, you know, I want to be enveloped into the scene. Flow and energy, fantastic, really good lines of flow. It feels holy, it feels grandiose. The energy is something that you're the strongest in. You're really, really good at your storytelling. So again, continue that. Texture. This is the area that I feel like is probably the weakest for you. I suggested to you to watch some Bob Ross videos and also some Tyler Eadlin videos, because honestly they are experts at painting landscapes, and I think you'll get a lot more out of them than you will out of me, because landscapes are not my specialty. But I would like to encourage you to work with a palette knife, just because there's a lot of smooth, airy textures in your pieces, but I think you need to work on your crumbly, hard, crunchy textures. And those are really, really difficult to maintain and to capture. So don't feel bad for not being able to capture them. But I think those are the textures that you really need to focus on. And, you know, like I kind of mentioned before, I think the weakest areas are kind of just underneath in the water. I don't know if you need all of the swooshiness. Don't be afraid to just do a gradient. You know, it could just be a gradient from here to here. That way you're really focusing your eye on the iceberg. Another thing that I wanted to mention is, I don't know about the sharp lines in this segment over here. I don't know if like in a photo it would be that strong, those shapes. So continue observing from photos so you understand exactly what parts are reflected and what parts aren't. I understand, you know, there are going to be reflected areas and transparent areas, but yeah, to me that kind of takes me out of it ever so slightly. The redraw is, I didn't do much to it. I just wanted you to see an example of what the piece would look like if it was longer. To me it feels so grand in this scale of composition. So I'm not sure how much you thumbnail, so I don't know, consider doing a lot more thumbnailing in the future so you really understand exactly like the compositions that you should be nailing in your pieces. Thumbnailing would help with, you know, being able to land what kind of size and shape your canvas should be, where are the proportions, what's the line of action, you know, all of those sort of things. Otherwise, I think that's it. Not many tips this time round. I just want to see more. Focus on your textures, focus on thumbnailing, keep doing this. I really just want to see this, but like 20 more of these. Alright, you guys, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far. I really appreciate it. And if you want to become a patron, I will have that all linked below. You can start at the lower tier and then work your way up if you know, binge all the videos, and then you can see if the other services would appeal to you. Otherwise, you can just have one critique if you just want to do it for a month or two. All up to you guys. I just wanted to get this out to you and really show you exactly what happens on the Patreon, because I feel like there's so much good information there that's not going out publicly, and I really want to change that and make these videos more reoccurring on the channel. Before you head out, comment below, what are you guys wanting to improve in your art? Is it color, light and tone, composition, or texture? Comment below, and I'd love to chat to you about what you'd like to improve in your artwork. And I will see you guys over on Patreon. Make sure you like and subscribe. I will see you next week. Bye.